Devotees, it's time for Leowolf TV story time. Herb the Vegetarian Dragon by Jules Bass and Debbie Harder, narrated by Joshua Ray Leowolf Dauzat. Every dragon in the forest of Nogard was a meat eater. Meat Hook was the leader. In the center of the forest of Nogard stood Castle Dark. There was nothing Meat Hook liked better than to raid the castle at night with his friends. He particularly liked the sweet taste of royal princess, and the crispy crunch of brave knights in armor was almost as delicious. But one dragon was different. While Meat Hook and his friends sat in the cave planning their next raid, Herb was happy to tend to his vegetable patch. Sometimes a little girl came to watch him. He grew turnips and tomatoes, leeks and lettuce, cauliflower and carrots. He grew peas and parsnips, red and yellow peppers, potatoes and parsley. For Herb was a vegetarian. Late one night, the brave knights in armor held a meeting at Castle Dark. Bernard the Bold was their leader. "The time has come to rid our forest of the fearful dragons who raid our castles, devour our people, and eat all of our best wild boar meat. We must plan a great hunt." "Death to the dragons!" the knights shouted. "Now listen carefully. The king has decreed that each dragon must be captured alive."
"Why alive?"
grumbled the knights. "Alive because the dragons are to be beheaded here in the courtyard of Castle Nightguard for all to see."
"Hip hip hooray!"
shouted the knights. Suddenly a rush of air and the sound of wings beating brought the knights to attention. Through the windows of the high stone walls they saw a monstrous dragon flying away in front of the full moon.
"A dragon spy!"
cried Bernard. The dragons met in a huge hidden cave. Herb, who had not been invited, knew nothing of the knight's scheme. Meat Hook spoke.
"My friends, the knights are planning a hunt. We'll be ready for them, won't we?"
And in answer, dragon tails pounded the earthen floor, and the cave shook with the sound of thundering evil voices.
"We'll sing them, fry them, boil in a pot, stew them, steam them, the whole juicy lot." "No!"
bellowed Meat Hook.
"We shall disappear. Stay hidden in our caves, wait them out. Then we shall attack, and then you can sing your songs."
The dragons roared their approval of his plan, and their fiery tongues lashed the roof of the huge cave. As this was happening, Herb was cooking a new soup made of butter, leeks, onions, and potatoes. He smiled, licking his lips. "Very tasty. I must give it a name. Herb's famous Lakewater Veggie Slurp." Herb didn't realize he was in danger, that when the knights set out, he would be the only dragon to be seen in all of Nogard Forest. The knights set out to go hunt down the dragons. For 7 days and 7 nights, they went in every direction of the forest, and not a single dragon was to be seen. Then on the last day of the hunt, a group heading west saw a dragon in the distance. They knew just what to do. Herb was hoeing in the garden, quiet, unaware that he was being surrounded on all sides. As he bent to pull out a difficult weed, the knights pounced. Herb's blue flame was powerless against the chain mail mesh of their nets. His wings strained uselessly against their ropes as he was dragged away by his tail. "What have I done?" thought Herb. "Won't somebody tell me?" But he couldn't speak because his jaws were bound tightly with rope. One of Meat Hook's spy dragons watched from a far peak and glided silently away to report what he had seen. The king scheduled the beheading for dawn the next day. Herb was put in a small, dank, iron-barred cell. The moon appeared from behind a heavy cloud. Herb could see the beheading platform from the cell window. The executioner's great axe glinted in the moonlight. Suddenly he heard a voice.
"Psst, Herb, you ridiculous excuse for a dragon. I have a last offer to make. We've decided to help you. I've gotten a 12 dragons here, ready to tear down this jail and get you out. We ask only one thing in return."
"What is it?" asked Herb. "I'll do anything to keep my head."
"Take this,"
hissed Meat Hook. as he thrust his scaly fist up against the bars. "What's this?" asked Herb.
It's wild boar meat. Eat it and become one of us. It's a small price to pay for your freedom," he gloated, "as I'm sure you will agree."
"Thanks, but no thanks," Herb said. "I don't see it your way, so I'll take my chances. I don't ask you to stop eating meat, so why do you ask me to stop eating vegetables?"
"Idiot!"
Meat Hook muttered as he flew off into the darkness.
"You can't be different in the dragon world and survive."
Thousands of people crowded into the square as Herb was dragged from his cell toward the beheading platform. His head was placed on the wooden block and his wings and feet secured with iron shackles. A rope held his jaws shut. A huge black hooded man picked up an axe and stepped forward. "For crimes of burning, stealing, and murdering, and to serve as an example for all who would dare to repeat these actions, the evil dragon's head will be stuffed and placed on the castle gates for all to behold." The crowd roared its approval. A drummer rolled his sticks as the executioner raised his axe. At the moment, with only one single second of Herb's life left, a tiny voice cried out, "Wait!" The drumming stopped. The executioner held his axe in mid-swing. All heads turned to see the little girl running up the stairs to the platform. "This dragon is my friend. His name is Herb. I have watched him tend to his vegetable patch. I have played with him and never once had he ever tried to harm me. He only eats vegetables. You must spare his life."
"Stop!"
cried Bernard the Bold as he moved towards the girl.
"How do we know what you say is true?"
Before anyone could stop her, she released the end of the rope that held his jaws closed, and they snapped open with a rush of blue flame.
"Nicole, get down from there!"
shouted a man. "It's all right, Father," said Nicole. Then she climbed right into Herb's mouth and sat there, with only her legs dangling free. Herb gulped and tried to smile. "See? Now you believe me?" cried Nicole. "He wouldn't harm anyone." As the awestruck crowd stared up at her, the silence was broken by a loud crash. Meat Hook, who was spying on the execution, had fallen out of his treetop hiding place. He lay helpless on the ground, his wings entangled in a mass of branches. At once 12 knights sprang forward and bound him with ropes. "That's one of the meat eaters!" shouted the little girl as she climbed out of Herb's mouth.
"Behead them both!"
someone yelled.
"Stop!"
commanded the king. "There is an opportunity here. If we kill these dragons, we risk an all-out war, and many will lose their lives." "You," the king said, pointing at Herb. "The child says that you are a vegetarian. By your word as a dragon, is this true?" "It is, your highness. I am a herbivore." "And you, whatever your name is," the king continued.
"Meat Hook,"
said Meat Hook, puffing up his chest.
"I am a meat eater, a carnivore, like my father and grandfather before me."
"Very well, Meat Hook. I give you a choice. I will not ask you to change your eating habits. It is your rightful choice to eat what you will. But in exchange for sparing your life, I ask that you and your dragon brothers stop feasting on my people. Stop your burning and stealing and live in peace as Dragon Herb has done."
"But dragons have always burned and pillaged and devoured knights and princesses. It is what we do. We can't change. No law has the power to change habits."
The king replied, "Only you have the power to change what you are." "We can all live in peace if we want to," said Herb. "Release them," commanded the king. "Dragon Herb and Dragon Meat Hook, I expect your answer by the day's end." In the hidden cave, all the dragons of Nogard met to hear the king's offer.
"It's a trick. De-dragon us?"
shouted one. "Better than an endless war, isn't it?" shouted another.
"It's not as if we become vegetarians like Herb. We just have to give up eating people,"
said a large dragon from the rear.
"Live in peace with people? I can't imagine it,"
said another. "I wouldn't mind having a nice garden like Herb has," said one of the younger dragons.
And I'll help you if you like, offered Herb. I'll give you some seeds and show you how to sow and reap.
We must vote on it now,
announced Meathook. Then all the dragons voted, and the result of that vote is recorded in the history books of Nogard. And even this day, the story is told of how Herb the vegetarian dragon brought peace to the forest of Nogard, where dragons and people, meat eaters and vegetarians, live together in peace and harmony.
The end.
Peppers, avocados, honeydew, and citrus fruit. I eat a lot of beans, even though they make me toot. Bananas are delish, they make a yummy dish and make me happy. Mozzarella, I'm in love with cheddar cheese. Thank you, please. Brussels sprouts, hear my shout. Sparkly soup, 2 big scoops. Applesauce, squash and peas, orange juice, freshly squeezed. Hot fudge sundae, and I'm a vegetarian. And I'm a vegetarian. And I'm a vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian.
Devotees! If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, yada yada yada. But if you would like to be a true devotee, please go to the link below and subscribe to my Patreon page and make a humble donation so that your request can be the next video on Leowolf TV. That request can range from music videos, full-length movies, whatever you request, I will try to make happen. And also, I will be bringing back the Leowolf TV devotee t-shirts, so you could also make a request for that. Now, your purchases for the shirt will actually be going to make the shirt and mailing. So keep that in mind whenever you request for the t-shirt. Now, with all that being said, farewell wherever y'all fare. May God bless, and I'll see y'all next time on Leowolf TV.